Exhibit A.
Purim should be today.
Oh, okay, that's actually completely brilliant. The rabbis made a little mistake. I can't talk. Oh, my Lord, goodness gracious.
So would you, if you folks want to kind of make a little semicircle, that would be, you're more than welcome to.
Although, put the chairs back perfectly when you're done because Andrew works really hard. How'd I do, Andrew?
The sun's not going to come down on you. I think we've already missed it, and I think you're already behind the. You're okay?
No,
All
he's
right.
saying it's still coming.
Hi, friends. So good to have you here. Look at all of you folks. How inspired. Is that loud for you? You
It
could
might-
just do it on the.
It
on
might
the-
need to be a certain loud for the people online to hear, though, too.
I'm sure we can bring it down. It's still on, right? Testing, testing,
better?
testing. Perfect.
Better, better?
You guys can hear us, yeah. And we're still. I'm sure that it's going through.
Okay. I
Yeah.
mean, maybe it's through the board. I don't know.
All right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Terrific. Lovely. So, what do you want to talk about? Oh, friends. It's good to see you. Welcome. I appreciate that you're here and we get to make Shabbat happen together. So lovely. Let's begin. How would you like to begin?
I would like to begin. Did you all get a handout that says Hine Matov and Misha Berach on it? Did you get that handout? We're going to start with that Hine Matov, a brand new, beautiful Hine Matov with beautiful and meaningful English words. Hi, folks. Open the door. Open your eyes. Open your heart. See what's inside. That's the melody for the whole thing. So let's start again. We'll go from the beginning all the way through. It just repeats all the words like that. Open the door. Open your eyes. Open your heart. See what's inside. Lay down your walls. Lay down your fears. Lean into love. You are welcome here. Maker of day. Maker of night. Feed me with song. Let me be your light. Hine Matov. שבט אחים גם יחד. Open the door. Open your eyes. Open your heart. See what's inside.
Yafeh. At the bottom of the very first page, Alex, will you light our candles? And you're going to lead us in the blessing. There you go. Right? Oh, you did it. Okay. Eloheinu melech haolam b'mitzvotav yitzivanu lehadlik ner. We can rise. The Kiddush is on our second page.
Thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho, be'ahava uvratzon, hinechilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit, ki hu yom techila lemikra kodesh, zecher litziat Mitzrayim, ki vanu v'acharta, ve'otanu kidashta, mikol hamim, ve'shabbat kodecha, be'ahava uvratzon, hinechaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh haShabbat.
Amen. L'chaim. We can return to our seats. 2 pages forward, L'chadodi, the prayer of our mystics.
Lai la lai 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 la lai, ya lai la 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 lai, ya lai la lai 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 la lai, ya lai la 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 lai, ya lai la lai 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 la lai, ya lai la 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 lai, ya lai la lai 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 la lai. Ya la 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 la. Lecha dodi likrat gala, b'nei Shabbat mekabela. Lecha dodi likrat gala, b'nei Shabbat mekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad, yishmi'anu el ha'meyuchad, Adonai echad, Shmo echad. L'shem u'tiferet v'litila, lecha dodi likrat gala, b'nei Shabbat mekabela. Lecha dodi likrat gala, b'nei Shabbat mekabela. Likrat Shabbat, lechu v'necha ki mekol, ha'beracha merosh mikedem nesucha. Sof ma'aseh be'machshavat chila, lecha dodi likrat gala, b'nei Shabbat mekabela. לך דודי לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. מקדש מלך עיר מלוכה קומיצי, מתוך ההפכה רב לך שבט בעמק הבכה, והוא יחמול עלייך חמלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. יאללה לה 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 לך דודי, יאללה לה 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 לקראת קלה. יאללה לה 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 פני שבת, פני שבת נקבל. יאללה לה 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 לך דודי, יאללה לה 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 לקראת קלה. יאללה לה 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 פני שבת, פני שבת נקבלה. התנערי מעפר קומי, לבשי בגדי תפארתך עמי, על יד בן ישי בית הלחמי. קרבה אל נפשי גאלה. יאללה יאללה לה 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 לך דודי, יאללה לה 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 לקראת קלה. יאללה לה 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 פני שבת, פני שבת נקבל. יאללה לה 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 לך דודי, יאללה לה 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 לקראת קלה. יאללה לה 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 פני שבת, פני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך קומי אורי, אורי אורי, שיר דברי. כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. יאללה יאללה לה 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 לך דודי, יאללה לה 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 לקראת קלה. יאללה לה 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 פני שבת, פני שבת נקבל. יאללה לה 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 לך דודי, יאללה לה 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 לקראת קלה. יאללה לה 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 פני שבת, פני שבת נקבלה. בואי ושלום, עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובסהולה, תוך אמונה עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה. יאללה יאללה לה 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 לך דודי, יאללה לה 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 לקראת קלה. יאללה לה 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 פני שבת, פני שבת נקבל. יאללה לה 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 לך דודי, יאללה לה 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 לקראת קלה. יאללה לה 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 פני שבת, פני שבת נקבלה.
May be seated. The very next page.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaShavet, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem leshalom, Malachi HaShalom, Malachi Elyon. Mi melech, Malachi HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni leshalom, Malachi HaShalom, Malachi Elyon. Mi melech, Malachi HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem leshalom, Malachi HaShalom, Malachi Elyon. Mi melech, Malachi HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Let's turn the page.
Yitgadal v'yitkadash Shemei Baba, Ba'alma divrach hirute v'yamlich malchute, B'chayechon uvyomechon uvchayetecho Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala, Ba'agala, uvizman kariv ve'imeru. Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabba Mevarach le'alam ulal me'olmaya. Yitbarach, Yitbarach ve'yishtabach, V'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yit'alal, Shemei v'kudshah b'richu la'ila min kol berchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata damiran b'ama ve'imeru. Amen. Yalalai, yalai, lai, lai. Yalai, lai, 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 lai. Yalalai, yalai, lai, lai. Yai, lai, 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 lai. Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam va'ed. Le'olam, 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 le'olam. Le'olam va'ed. Yalalai, yalai, lai, lai. Yalai, lai, 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 lai. Yalalai, yalai, lai, lai. Yalai, lai, 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 lai.
The next page. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher b'dvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chochma poteach she'arim, u'v'tvuna meshene itim, u'machalif et hazmanim, u'mesader et hakochavim, b'mishmerotehem barakia kirtzono. Borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Ma'avir yom, mevi laila, umavdil ben yom uven laila, Adonai tzvaot shemo. El chai v'kayam, tamid yimloch alenu, leolam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, ha'ma'ariv aravim. Let's turn the page. We're moving where the Shema is at the very top on the left side of the page spread.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai, Adonai Echad. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Leolam Leolam Vaed. Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Leolam Leolam Vaed. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. You shall love God with all of your heart, with soul and with all of your might. You shall teach your children to grow, to love and to know what is right. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la.
May be seated. Let's turn 2 pages forward. Mi chamocha at the top of the page.
Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nehedar b'kodesh, narati hilo dosei fele, narati hilo dosei fele. Malchutecha va'anecha, okei ayam lifnei Moshe, ze'elianu ve'amru, ze'elianu ve'amru. Adonai Yimoch le'olam va'ed. Adonai Yimoch le'olam va'ed. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai.
We turn the page and we see Hashkivenu, asking God to extend that Sukkot Shalom over us.
It's on the wrong page. There we go.
Over us.
Now I can't play it. Hold on. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, V'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim, לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני, אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים, לחיים. ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ותגננו בעצה טובה מלפניך, והושיענו למען שמך. Amen. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, v'hamidenu shomrenu לחיים, לחיים. ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ותגננו בעצה טובה מלפניך, והושיענו למען שמך. Amen. 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 Veshamru b'nei Israel. Sorry. You all know the words?
Bnei Yisrael et HaShabbat, la'asot et HaShabbat
לדורותם בריד. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם בריד עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם בריד עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם בריד עולם.
The next page, let's move into the Amidah together. We begin right in that second paragraph. Adonai Sifatai Tiftach. We invite you to rise if you're able.
Lai 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 Adonai. שפתי תפתח. לי 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 ופי יגיד, ופי יגיד תהילתך. לי 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 אדוני, לי 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 שפתי תפתח. לי 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 ופי יגיד, ופי יגיד תהילתך. לי 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 אדוני, לי 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 שפתי תפתח. לי 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 ופי יגיד, ופי יגיד תהילתך. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, Vezocher Chastei Avot V'Imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, Leman Shemo B'Ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Ve'Ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Leolam Adonai, Mechayeha kol atarav lehoshia, morid hatal, Mechalkel chaim bechesed, Mechayeha kol berachamim rabim, Samech noflim verovei cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayim emunato, Lishenei afar, Micha mocha ba'al gevurot, umito meloch, melech memit, umechaya, umatzmiach Yeshua, v'ne'eman adal lahachayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, Ugdoshim b'chol yom yhalelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh.
We can return to our seats. Our prayer for peace, the top of the next page. Shalom Rav.
Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech Adon, lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech Adon, lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. V'tov b'einecha livarech et Amcha Yisrael, b'chol et ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam Tasim Leolam Tasim Leolam.
Let's take a little time for our own personal prayer.
Yehiyu leratzonim revim revi lehegyon libi lefanecha. Yehiyu leratzonim revim revi lehegyon libi lefanecha. Adonai tzuri, Adonai tzuri, Adonai tzuri, legoalim. Adonai tzuri, Adonai tzuri, Adonai tzuri, legoalim. Yehiyu leratzonim revim revi lehegyon libi lefanecha. Yehiyu leratzonim revim revi lehegyon libi lefanecha. Adonai tzuri, Adonai tzuri, Adonai tzuri, legoalim. Adonai tzuri, Adonai tzuri, Adonai tzuri, legoalim. Yehiyu leratzonim revim revi lehegyon libi lefanecha.
Our Mishaberach, prayer for healing and wholeness. We think of friends and loved ones in the midst of their struggles, and we send strength to them and to their loved ones. If you'd like to share a name, we invite you to do so.
The Mishaberach that we're doing is on your paper. Oh, goodness gracious. So it's a repeat, call and repeat, and then we sing together Elna Rafana. You can sing Elna Rafana La, Elna Rafana Lo, Lanu, for the feminine, the masculine, and the plural of all the people that you're thinking of. So repeat after me. Mishaberach,
Mishaberach,
Avotenu,
Avotenu,
Makor HaChaim,
Makor HaChaim,
Ve'imotenu,
Imotenu,
Hu Yevarech,
Hu Yevarech,
Ve'yirapeh,
Ve'yirapeh,
Et HaCholim,
Et HaCholim,
Et HaCholim,
Et HaCholim,
Elna Refana La,
Elna
Refana La, Elna Refana La, Elna Refana La, Elna Refana Mishaberach
Mishaberach
Avotenu
Avotenu
Kor HaChaim
Mikor HaChaim
Ve'imotenu
Ve'imotenu
Hu Yevarech
Hu Yevarech
Ve'yirafeh
Ve'yirapeh
Et HaCholim
Et HaCholim
Et HaCholim
Et HaCholim
El Narevanalo 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 El Narevanalanu.
Yefeh. It's not windy. So, friends, I want to share a story. And I think 3/4 of you haven't heard it yet. The last time I checked, I shared it in 2016, so I think it's time. Because it's one of my favorite stories, and I wasn't going to write something new for you. No, I would have. I would have wrote something new for you, but I wasn't going to write something new for you. I really do love this story, and I think it's a wonderful story for after Yontif. You know, Ed Feinstein, the rabbi, another rabbi in Los Angeles, conservative rabbi in Los Angeles, always says what the most important day of the whole year in Jewish tradition always says Yom Kippur, and he disagrees. He says the day after, right? So we still need to try and find something that we might be able to connect to. And this story just always moves me. I look at it over and over and over again, and it's actually a really wonderful story about the Bach. Please hold. That's good, right? So it's about the Bach. And the Bach, his real name is Rabbi Yoel Sirkis. And he's one of the greatest Torah scholars in Jewish history. And he was thinking about this idea, when you get to heaven, who would he be sitting next to? And this is an important thing in certain circles. And he was an important, distinguished rabbi. So he wanted to know who he was going to be sitting next to. The idea that in Gan Eden, the Garden of Eden, that we would actually have neighbors is amazing to me. But also, this really wise rabbi, he wanted somebody important. And so for me, when I first heard this story, this rabbi, the Bach, falls from grace a little bit. Because he's so important, you think in Gan Eden, when you get there, that somebody, you're going to have to sit next to somebody important. But that was the tradition. And so, if everybody has a neighbor in paradise, in this next world, he has a dream about who he was going to be next to. And in this dream, he asks God who this neighbor is going to be, and God gives an answer. And he says there's a rich Jew named Yankala. Naturally, his name is Yankala. And he's Yankala in Lemberg, and he's going to be your neighbor. And the Bach travels all the way to Lemberg, and he's imagining this Yankala is a great scholar, an important man in town. He must study Torah day and night. Really somebody worthy for the Bach to have a spot next to. And the Bach himself, remember, he's devoted. He's a scholar. He's important. People around the world know him. So this Yankala has to be somebody important. So he goes and he knocks on his door. He knocks on Yankala's door. Talk about chutzpah, really. This guy, he goes to his house and he knocks on the door and he sees that he lives in this beautiful home and he's a lovely family and he knows some Torah and he's a really nice guy, but nothing so special. And he's starting to feel a little disappointed in the inside, and he's there for a whole week and he thinks to himself, I'm giving my life to God. I'm devoting everything that I have in order to serve God and the Jewish people day and night. And this is what I'm going to have next to me. And he was just about to leave. He was invited to stay longer. The Bach was invited to stay a little bit longer because Yankala was marrying off his son the following week. And so the Bach stays. He stays for the wedding, and the Bach watched the sun under the chuppah, and everything looks beautiful. But then suddenly, Yankala, the boy's father, Yankala, hears somebody just sobbing all the way in the back, crying, really weeping. And it really sounded like it was coming from the depths of his heart. Everyone in town was invited to this celebration. Everybody, including the folks that Yankala didn't even know, certainly the folks that were some of the more poorer folks in town. So he was thinking, who could this be? Who's going to be crying at my son's wedding? So Yankala stops everything and he goes to one of his servants, someone on his staff, to find out who's crying. And the servant returned and he finds that it's a young man, the same age as his son, the bridegroom. And Yankala says, bring him here. And the servant brings him over to Yankala and sees that this is a man who's kind of in tattered clothes and he's not put together like him and his family. But Yankala asks in the middle of his kid's wedding, why are you crying? And this boy asks him, do you really want to know? And Yankala says, yes, please tell me. And the boy says, do you remember somebody who was very established and wealthy in the community who went bankrupt a couple of years ago? And he lost everything. It's a small town. So he says, sure, of course. He says, well, that's my family. And the match that I was supposed to have is getting married to your son. And so he's just been crying, weeping, weeping. So Yankala, of course, goes to the servants and he calls over the bride because she's not under the chuppah yet. Things are still kind of separate in that part of town in those days, right? Men and women. You guys don't know from much of this, but that's what they do in some communities. And he brings over the bride and he says, is this true? And the bride says, yes, it's true. And my parents forbid me from marrying him. And Yankala says, thank you so much for telling me. He turns to his own son. He says, do you hear this? And he says to his son, I'll find you somebody else. I'll find you somebody else. I'm going to find you your soulmate, because they're just matches. They didn't necessarily have so much, of their own voice in this. But for this other young couple, it was a match for years, and they got to know each other, and they did fall in love. So Yankala says, take this boy to the house, to his own son. Take this boy to the house and give him your clothes. This brand new suit. He does that. The boy, they're about to go, and Yankala again says, I want you to know that I'm going to treat you as if you're my own son. All the money and gifts that I was going to give to my son, I'm now giving to you. And when the Bach, this very famous, great esteem, Rabbi Yoel Sarkis, when he would tell the story to his disciples, his students, he would say, I've never seen a father dance at the wedding of his own son with as much joy as this man danced at the wedding of this boy he didn't even know, whom he reunited with his intended bride. And he would also say to his students, when I came to Lemberg, I couldn't understand why Yankala was going to be deserving of a place next to me in paradise. But when I left his home, I couldn't understand how I deserved to sit next to him. We don't hear a lot of those stories. And sometimes there are the stories of real people's lives can move us to realize that can be our story too. I'm not trying to convince you to pay for somebody else's wedding. But can we live with that kind of generosity of spirit? Can we live with a generosity of heart? Can we make this year matter for others beyond our little tiny circles? I hope we try, because things seem so complicated when we leave this tent. The only thing complicated here is to get the equipment to work. But it's not so complicated for me here. There, much more. But I believe in the power of Yankala, so I hope you will too. Your friend's dog is named Yankala? Who's Yankala the dog sitting next to in paradise?
I don't know.
Well, we should check. Aleinu l'shabech, where it says concluding prayers. Let's rise if we're able. We'll continue with Aleinu.
Aleinu l'shabech l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטע שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובי מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום, והשבות אל לבביך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים, בשמיים ממעל, והארץ מתחת אין עוד. ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Zichronam levracha. May their memories be for a blessing. If you would like to share a name out loud, someone whom you're remembering, you can just share it and call them out. We also remember within those first 30 days, Marie Antonello, the grandmother of Greg Frost, Doreen Heimbach, the cousin of Caroline Solomon, Selma Reamer, the aunt of Judith Kremen, Morty Leibovich, the cousin of Miriam Paisner, Joel Salzberg, the husband of Kathleen Salzberg and a member of our community here, Wilma Gudicelli Perez, the aunt of Sandra Gudicelli, and those yard sites that we recall for this week that has passed, Michael Idelson, Elka Tsirkovich, Luba Tsirkovich, Jocelyn Soloff, Miriam Mathlis, Eliana Horst, Lois Horst, Bernard Collector, Thomas Miltonberger, Harry Markowitz, Saul Nachum Tobar, Bluma Limoni, Yitzchak Rosenfield, Asia Piatigorskaya, Jack Garrett, Melissa Ann Sheffield, Philip Goldhammer, Betty Pierce, Shelby Lerner, Irvin Kaplan, Ruth Osius, Barbara Ann Kaufman, Martin Woolman, Paige Hammer, Alex Wappelhorst, Bernice Braun, Anita Fox, Claire Tannenbaum, and Moses Jacobs. We turn for words of Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemed rabba, Bialma divrach irute v'yamlich malchute, B'chayechon u'v'yomechon, u'v'chaye decho beit Yisrael, Ba'agala u'v'zman kari v'meru, Amen. Yehi shmei rabba mivarach le'olam u'lalmei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal, Shemei T'Kudusha Berechu, Le'ela min kol birachata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran bi'alma v'meru, Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'meru, Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol Yoshvei Tevel v'emeru, Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn, comfort to the bereaved here and everywhere. We say, Amen. You can be seated. So a couple of brief announcements I want to share with you. First of all, our sukkah is up. Thank you, Andrew. Well done. So we are keeping it here. So we're going to have in an email that maybe you've gotten, maybe you're about to get, you'll see different things that are happening for the celebration of Sukkot, including some opportunities just for us to go. We have some planned. You can bring your own lunch on sometimes, but we're going to have some folks where we're hosting where you can bring a lunch and just come to sit and schmooze and wave the lulav and etrog. We have some coffees that are scheduled. We have some other things that are scheduled during Sukkot. Shabbat, we'll see what the numbers are like, but maybe we'll make our service in the sukkah instead of in the tent. I haven't told Andrew yet. And everybody online, don't send him an email. And so we're trying to make some nice things happen for Sukkot and Simchat Torah. But as you can tell, when you come next time, you're going to bring a comfy jacket or maybe a fleece blanket where you have some heaters that we'll be setting up in the not too distant future for inside of the tent. They are in the works. We're going to be keeping our tent out here for a little while longer. Probably up through like the first week of November. We are going to plan on taking it down because we want to make sure it stays healthy, and the snow and all of that kind of stuff will diminish it. So we're going to be out here for a while longer. So you're in Colorado, you know what to do. And what'd you say? Go to Florida. Do not go to Florida. That is not my recommendation for you.
Ah, Sa'inai, near the top of the next page.
I'm not going to Florida.
Esa Einai El Hami Esa Einai El Hami Me'ayin Yavo Yavo Ezri Me'ayin Yavo Yavo Ezri Me'ayin Yavo Yavo Ezri, Me'ayin Yavo, Yavo Ezri. My help will come from God, maker of heaven and earth. My help will come from God, maker of heaven and earth. Esa Einai El Hami Esa Einai El Hami Me'ayin Yavo Yavo Ezri Me'ayin Yavo Yavo Ezri Me'ayin Yavo Yavo Ezri Me'ayin Yavo Yavo Ezri. My help will come from God, maker of heaven and earth. My help will come from God, maker of heaven and earth. Esa Einai El Hami.
Thanks for making the minyan tonight, everyone. It's good to be with you. Have a lovely Shabbat. Stay warm. If you can take out the handout, put it in one hand, put the booklet in another hand, and bring it over to our box for us to collect. And with another hand, we can bring our chairs and put them right over there and line them up again.